Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're pulling back the curtain on some absolute behind-the-scenes magic. We're going to dive right into how a character named Timmy TPU was brought to life. It's a project sitting right at the cutting edge of Google AI. Honestly, think of this as a masterclass in how modern directors are completely reimagining the creative process, all without losing their minds along the way.
So, how exactly do you combine cutting-edge AI with, well, a puppet on a stick? It sounds like a total paradox, right? On one hand, you've got generative AI, literally the wildest frontier of digital innovation right now. And on the other, puppeteering, one of the oldest, most tactile, deeply physical ways we tell stories. This specific, incredibly cool creative challenge is exactly what we're tackling in today's Explainer.
And that brings us straight to the core philosophy here. The director put it perfectly. I've always been interested in things that mix hi-fi and lo-fi sensibilities. That duality right there, that's the beating heart of their whole production method. They aren't just firing up an AI to spit out something totally from scratch. No, they're actually using raw, physical, real-world puppeteering to instruct the AI model. It's wild.
Which leads us to our first major concept, amplifying the human craft.
The ultimate goal here, the absolute golden rule, is using technology to amplify the craft, definitely not to replace the amazing human talent. You know, for a studio that's steeped in traditional skills, the objective was never to just automate the artist out of the job. It's actually the complete opposite. It's about fiercely protecting those traditional crafts and using AI as a super powerful lens to make human artistry shine even brighter.
Just picture the studio environment for a second. On one side of the exact same room, you've got fabricators and model makers right there, getting their hands dirty with physical materials. And literally on the other side of that same space, you have developers working on the absolute latest experimental tech. You've got physical craft and digital innovation happening simultaneously, just feeding off each other in real time. It's like a giant creative feedback loop.
All right, moving right along to our next point, the speed of iteration. Now, in a traditional setting, getting from an initial idea to a fully rendered image is an absolute grind. It takes forever. But with this pipeline, rapid visualization just changes the game completely. The director can hand over some quick initial vector sketches, and bam! The team immediately uses AI to test out complex materials and lighting. They map it onto a 3D body almost instantly. AI removes all that friction, meaning the director gets to see what looks like a final frame so much faster.
To put that into perspective, just look at this massive jump in speed. What would normally take 3 full weeks, 3 weeks, in a traditional pipeline is now happening in just a couple of hours. I mean, that's not just a minor upgrade, right? That is a revolutionary shift. It completely changes how a director can experiment, make quick decisions, and visually problem solve right there on the fly.
But speed isn't everything. Let's slow down a bit and talk about preserving charming irregularities.
This concept of charming irregularities actually became the director's true North Star for the project, because it brings up a really fascinating question. When you're using hyper-advanced, pixel-perfect AI, how do you inject something into the film that feels very human, something fallible? How do you stop it from just feeling, sterile and overly perfect?
Well, you do it exactly like this. The director noted, we leave the imperfection of kind of shaky hands on rods. They actively wanted you to be able to tell how the puppet was rigged. And the crazy part? The AI model was actually able to capture the absolute tiny subtleties of the puppeteer's human movement. So even in the highly refined AI-rendered final version, those charming physical irregularities just shine right through. It's brilliant.
Okay, let's get a bit technical. Up next, directing the AI pipeline.
So how is this actually achieved? It basically breaks down into a 3-step pipeline. Step 1, creating an input video. This captures the raw performance details directly from the physical puppetry. Then Step 2, they use a tool called Nano Banana to apply concept art and craft a single first frame, really locking in that visual language. And finally, Step 3, bringing the whole shebang together using Gemini Omni and other experimental video models to control exactly how the scene moves while totally elevating the visual style. But here's the catch. This entire process requires funneling the randomness. Keep in mind, this is an unproven pipeline, creating something that's never been done before. And when you work with experimental video models, well, there's a lot of inherent chaos. That's exactly why it's more important than ever to have a strong creative director and a team of artists who know how to wrestle that AI randomness and channel it into a highly specific, purposeful visual style.
So, as we wrap up this explainer, we really have to ask ourselves, after looking at these hyper-fast workflows, the Gemini Omni models, and all these complex pipelines,
What is the true magic of this technological and artistic duality? What's the ultimate takeaway from the director's point of view?
Honestly, it all boils down to this incredibly grounded realization. As the director said, its heart is basically a bunch of people having fun in a room, playing with puppets and moving stuff around a table. There's just something so magic about that. Beneath all that crazy generative AI, the essence of the work is still beautifully, wonderfully human. The technology didn't erase the joy of tactile creation. It simply gave the artists a wildly powerful new canvas to play on. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer. It leaves us with a pretty big question, though. As AI continues to evolve at lightning speed, how will you use these kinds of tools to amplify your own unique human craft?